Well, here we are at the end of another wonderful season here in the Simulation Soccer League. We've got season 22 coming for you shortly, but before that, we have possibly the most anticipated part of the SSL calendar, the Prospect Draft. I'm Metafiction, of course, and I'm joined by Max today.
Hello, guys. I'm as excited as you guys are for this draft. Should be fun. I'm excited to see what new prospects we got coming through the pipelines.
Without a doubt, as I say, it's probably my favorite part of the SSL, the chance to see a lot of these new players be allocated to their new teams, the chance to see basically these organizations different strategies and trying to build or in some cases rebuild for the future, and likewise for the prospects. There's just that excitement about who you're going to play for, where you're going to be for for at least the first part of your career.
I can't agree more. I remember when I was drafted, I was driving in the car on my way to I think a club meeting or something like that, and then I just started going crazy. I was like, oh my god. So I know that there's really very little feelings that beat what it's like to be drafted on draft day. And I know that there's so many different draft trades that really shake up the scenes, and I'm excited to see if we find ourselves in any of those.
It certainly is exciting, and especially because once again we have two new organizations joining us for season 22. The first organization, Shelayu Cosmico, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. At least I hope I am. Uh, Shelayu Cosmico Football Club, and Mas Sacre is the first organization, playing in respectively Quetzaltenango, Guatemala, and Duku, Cote d'Ivoire. By the way, I apologize for the horrid pronunciations. I'm an American. I'm doing my best here. Um, but and then the other organization features majors team Liffey-Side Celtic FC and minors team Club Sportif Rova Panyaka, I believe. Re- Certainly representing Dublin, Ireland, and Antananarivo, Madagascar, respectively. So, honestly, seeing these two organizations with their new branding, their new kits, color schemes, expansion is always such a great time in the SSL. You always love to see it.
I can't agree more. And I think the pronunciations were fantastic. I'll give you props on that. Um, yeah, I love expansion sides. I thought that the league really shaped up well after we introduced our last two expansion sides in CDT and Shanghai. So I can't wait to see what these two clubs make of themselves, and if we see any new rivalries. You do always love to commentate on rivalries, so I'm excited.
Absolutely. And seeing these new organizations always adds a little bit of extra spice to match days. But without further ado, I believe, if you're ready, Max, I believe it's time to kick off the draft process by announcing the first overall pick.
I'm so ready.
So, without further ado, first overall up to draft on the clock is Shelayu Cosmico, and they select Benjamin Monroe, the user BJ Monroe.
So, speaking from the organizational manager notes, in our opinion, this was the best player in the class. I love that conversation we had and seemed like you would be a great fit in Shilaku, and I'm excited to have you on board. Bienvenidos a Shilaku. Happy to see a new face in Shilaku as we come off of this expansion draft. I think that they have a good pick in here. I not my first pick, I'll tell you that, but first pick is going to be hard to live up to. But maybe Benjamin Monroe has what it takes. I guess unless you have anything else to add, Meta, I'm good to go on to the next one.
Not especially. 7.66 rating, of course, in the Academy season, certainly exciting, but certainly an exciting pick here at first overall.
Couldn't agree more. All right, moving on to the second pick.
If we could, please.
All right, coming in at second, Leafy Side Celtic pick Nyron Noseworthy.
So the manager notes for this pick: during our scouting conversations, it was clear that Crunk and Leafy Side were meant to be. He was excited to join and be part of a budding expansion team, and we are stoked to have a knowledgeable veteran user added to our team. May the luck of the Irish bless your career. Welcome to Leafy Side.
What's the song that goes like "Let's get crunk"? I hope Leafy Side feels that way. Like, let's get crunk tonight.
Oh, sorry. Well, nevertheless, moving swiftly on, we go to third overall, where we see a familiar team, CF Catalunya, taking their first pick of the draft. And they, of course, select Martin Slothenberg, user SlothfaceKilla.
Slothface Killer. All right, let's read the organizational manager notes. I gotta say, probably top 10 usernames in the whole of the SSL. With a user with this history and at a position of great importance, how do you skip this user? You don't. That's how. I think that says everything that you need to know. A vet of the league, and getting a player like him is not something you can really pass up on. Slothface Killer is wholly gonna keep some goals out of the net and not kill anyone.
Well, hopefully, at least metaphorically.
Yeah. You can kill people on the pitch, but like, metaphorically, of
Right.
course. Yeah.
I believe we were ready for pick number 4.
Ooh, we have a trade. CDT receives Kaba S22, first 80th overall, and then CDT S23 third, and Leafy Side Celtic receives Shanghai's S22 first overall, which comes at 40A.
Well, I apologize because I guess we weren't ready because we did have this trade to resolve. Tenochtitlan trading their first rounder to Leafy Side Celtic to get the new expansion team an extra leg up in the draft by taking another prospect. And so, with Leafy Side Celtic on the clock at 4th overall here, they will go ahead and select
What a build-up. Leafy Side Celtic selects Blacklail Hepotsli. The pronunciation's all out of whack, but we all know the user, Woog.
Well, I can certainly only say so much, but as far as the management goes, they submitted the following. We were sitting at 8, hoping that Woog would fall to us, but not expecting it to happen. So we made sure we got our guy. Woog is another SSL vet that we get to add to our locker room to help us continue building. Cannot be more excited about our top 2 picks. May the luck of the Irish bless your career. Welcome to Leafy Side.
I gotta say, with that kind of name, you're so surprised that he didn't fall to CDT or Shalahu. But nevertheless, I think he's gonna find himself a home in the old Irish lands.
Funny enough, I think there was actually some Norse heritage in Dublin.
Yeah.
That's neither here nor there.
I mean, the Vikings invaded there a couple times, right?
The Vikings have invaded everywhere.
True.
In any case, we move on now to pick number 5 here in the SSL draft, and it is AC Romana's turn up to the bat. And they have selected Ozzy Trent Kovac. I believe that's Kovac. User OTK.
I think that this is probably the pick of the draft, but let's read what the manager notes have to say. I originally didn't have Ozzy on my draft list because I assumed that he would have been snapped up in the first 4 picks. But here we are, a fellow Dutchie and a very nice guy. We're super happy to have Ozzy joining us here in Rome and London. I think that this just overall is a huge pick for AC Romana, going through a pretty deep rebuild. London not really showing the best, and then Romana having, not the best season, but also not the worst. I'm excited to see how this pick turns out in the next couple of seasons.
Can't agree more.
All right, moving on to we're up to 6 already. 6th pick. We couldn't have another trade, could we?
I don't
No, we
believe
do
we
not.
have another trade.
All right, CDT selects Gianluigi Buffon. The user is low-key a zombie.
Well, from Tenochtitlan Management, we have the following: Gianluigi Buffon is high key our goalkeeper of the future. Buffon will benefit from learning behind the legendary Calvin Ball before eventually taking over for Los Aztecas. In the meantime, he will hone his craft with Krungtep and enjoy the mango slices that Miners captain Mazid Al Kazmi hands out at halftime.
I gotta be honest, I fully saw Buffoon and said Buffon, and Gianluigi is also not what I was just gonna read, like, Gianluigi Buffon, but hey, the double
It's
O
a
really does
reflex.
kill you there.
It's a
Yep.
reflex.
Can he live up to his name though? Think about it. I guess his take on the name.
Next up, we move on to Schwarzwälder Fußballverein, who are selecting here at 7th overall. And at 7th overall, they select Aimo Silaka, user Retu Perkala. And I'm sorry for the pronunciation.
Yeah, nevertheless, we don't unfortunately have any organizational manager notes here, but as a player of the SFV organization, I'm happy I'm getting to speak on this from the dome. I think this is going to be a great pick. Montreal is really going to need some backup, especially in attack, as some players move to the majors this season. We have a lot of problems with regression right now, so I'm excited to see how this pick turns out, and hopefully a great setup for the locker room, brings in a good personality, but overall super excited. All right, I guess we'll move on to the next pick. Pick number 7. Yeah, pick number 7.
I believe it's 8.
No, it's 8. 8. I can't count. Oh my word. And CDT selects Larv Itar, user Aaron.
Well, first off, I do have to say I love the render, but before I can say anything about that, we do have some breaking news from CD Tenochtitlan. Club Deportivo Tenochtitlan organizational manager Devogo was seen last night wearing a Team Rocket outfit, kidnapping a flailing larvitar as he ran off into the distance through hot coals and a small toaster fire. When asked for comment, he can neither confirm nor deny the allegation, but did state that he's sure Larv Itar will develop into a world-class central defender one day.
Yeah, that sounds about right for Tenochtitlan and their organization. I could for sure see Devoga doing that. I mean, we'll see how Larvitar turns out, but I'm happy that Devoga put so much confidence into him.
I never would have pegged Devogo for a Team Rocket guy.
True.
I had him clock this Team Galactic for life, but what do I know?
You know, it's always the people that you keep close that turn out to be like someone that you wouldn't expect.
I guess so. But we move on from pick number 8 to pick number 9. And in fact, we actually have União Sao Paulo on the clock here, a couple of times, in fact. Their first pick at 9th overall is Silver Tarandus, user Silver Blitzen AG.
Let's read some manager notes here. We had an awesome conversation with you during scouting, and you hit on everything we were looking for. As a prior goalie, you'll know exactly how to throw the opposing keepers off balance. And when we heard you were looking to break the assist record, we knew you'd be the perfect fit to fill Dybala's shoes. We can't wait to have you on our team. Looking forward to seeing you play for ASP and our rematch squad. They also have a rematch squad. This is news to me. Nevertheless, I think this is a fantastic pick. 3 goals isn't really saying that much, but hey, that's the whole reason why we have the minors. It's a good time to shine. All right, and then I think with that we'll move on to pick number 10. This time I can't count. And with pick number 10, we have USP selecting Eden Empire the Fourth. User MMFlex. I can also read Roman numerals. Fun fact.
So, Night 1 invested MN Flex. Results: your target could be an ISFL GM, Tree Donator, or Capybara. Wait, when did Town of Salem add capybaras? Well, in any case, USP and AS Paris are delighted to bring user MM Flex in to bolster the already rising ranks. After showing his commitment to the cause early by helping us grow the #1 tree in the SSL, we knew we couldn't pass on the opportunity to add just one more handsome bastard to the locker room. Insert celebratory capybara noises.
Is this a factual statement? #1 tree in the SSL.
I can't verify one way or the other, unfortunately, but certain I'd imagine there probably is documentation to back that up somewhere.
You know, I hope there is, because that's a strong claim to make, to say the least.
And now we move on to pick number 11, which is, of course, held by Reykjavik United. And Reykjavik, with the 11th overall pick, select Henry Andrews Jr., user ABH89.
Reading some manager notes, bringing ABH back to Reykjavik Group has long been a priority for our organization, and we're excited to be reunited with this fantastic user. I mean, when you're already coming in with a little bit of experience within this whole organization that likes to win so much, it can only bode well for you. All right, and then I think with that, we're gonna move to pick number 12. And Leafyside Celtic FC selects Young Man Smalls. The user is It's Small.
So, per the management, throughout the draft process, Smalls talked to Bailey and I both a few different times, expressing excitement about potentially joining us. We knew when he was still on the board at 12, there were no other options. May the luck of the Irish bless your career. Welcome to Leafyside. And so Celtic picking up another great prospect here at the tail end of the first round. That, I believe, is the end of the first round of the draft, and certainly some big names off of the board so far. Let's take a look at it. And Max, what stands out to you about the picks taken so far?
Leafyside got quite a few picks. I think that's only good for them. Chilago really not popping up on the board too much, really only one time, which I thought was kind of surprising. You always see expansion times have more picks. And just to shout out some players that I think might really make a difference in the organization, I think Gianluigi Buffon is going to be great for CDT, and same with OTK. Should also really make an impact at Romana, which in London they do need a little bit of help.
I can definitely
What about
agree
you,
with
Meadow?
all of that. I'd also like to shout out Martin Slothenberg, the third overall to Catalonia, and the first goalkeeper off the board. 3 goalkeepers taken in the first round. I don't think I've ever seen something like that, but it is a pretty fascinating development here, I would say. So certainly a lot of teams looking for a little bit of help at the goalkeeper position. And in particular, it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, Tenochtitlan took 2 goalkeepers. So certainly in need of a rebuild there.
Yeah, that's interesting. You don't typically see organizations do that, but hey, I do know that there are players that have re-rolled and become different players than goalkeepers, which they were in the academy. One comes to mind, Kawasaki. And one last shout out to another player, Woog. I was really surprised that they went to Leafy Side Celtic. Thought it would be a lock in for SFE, but I wish them all the best.
It is also worth noting in Larvitar's description that they were mentioned as potentially developing into a world-class central defender one day. So it seems likely that Itara is going to use their rookie reroll to change their position. Remember, these prospects do have one season after this draft to potentially change their attribute distribution, their primary and secondary positions. So even if they're drafted as, say, a goalkeeper, they may not necessarily remain a goalkeeper the rest of the way. They could certainly change positions, and that might be what we're seeing here.
100%. That was a really good catch, by the way. I didn't even notice that.
But without further ado, I believe if you're in agreement, Max, that it is time to move on to a trade right before we start the second round of this draft. And that trade will see Sao Paulo receiving Leafy Side's second rounder, the 13th overall, this pick in particular, in exchange for Sao Paulo's season 22 second round, the 22 overall, and their second rounder next season, season 23.
That's huge. That's huge.
Sao Paulo already with 2 picks there at the tail end of the last round, and now have grabbed another one here at the start of round 2. So, at 13 overall, Sao Paulo, rather than Leafy Side making this pick, and they have selected Joao Cancelo, user DMAC1200.
Reading from the organization manager notes, DMAC is the ultimate team player. When we traded up, he was high on our list of potential users who we thought might be available. We couldn't have been more excited when we saw him still there at 13. DMAC and ASP for the next few seasons. Go together like D, Mac, and cheese. Welcome to Sao Paulo. Terrible pun. I curse. No, I'm just kidding. That was good. That was good. D, Mac, and cheese. I guess let's move on to pick number 14 then. Oh my word, D, Mac, and cheese. All right. Chilaku Cosmico FC selects Rossetti Moretti. What a great picture. Oh my word. The user spooked.
The following is verbatim the submitted manager notes for this pick. Lizard, 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 lizard.
Lizard.
I think
Respect.
that says about all that can be said about this pick. Moving swiftly on, we now move on to 15th overall, where once again we see CF Catalunya on the clock. And in this position, they will select Alejandro Fuecoco, user Cortesi81.
Fuecoco roughly translates to he was a coconut. So here's some organizational manager notes. We choose you. Gotta go with the happy gator here. Did some amazing things during the academy season, and we're beyond excited to have him here in our organization. What a great image. What an afro. I'd really like to have an afro like that one day. Unfortunately, my hair does not do that. All right, moving on to pick 16. Chilahu Cosmico FC selects Remy Terrell. User Ali Corey.
Well, fortunately, this particular manager note is significantly less lizard-laden. Oh man, what can I say about this guy? I'm stoked I was able to get you here, and I'm excited to get to work with you in the future. The people and fans of Jelahu will have Terrell as a household name in the future. Bienvenidos a Jelahu. So we move on from there. Another strong pick there to number 17 overall. And it is AC Romana who are making the pick this time around. And so at 17 overall, AC Romana selects Dr. Wad by user CastWad.
I wonder if he plays on the pitch as angry as he looks here, but let's read some organizational manager notes. Oh man, what can I say about this guy? I'm stoked. I was able to get you here, and I'm excited to get to work with you in the future. The people and fans of I'm just reading the completely wrong one. Okay, here's the right one. The big dog. I really enjoyed my conversation with the doctor. I was happy to hear that he was also excited to be part of the complete demolition and rebuilding of Romana. I don't know why you're gonna destroy that city, but let's keep on reading. Here's to hoping that he comes with free healthcare. I guess my one comment would be, why does your organization not already have free healthcare? And two, why are you destroying Romana, or I guess Rome in that sense? But I guess we'll see you next season, right?
Well, I'm hoping that the demolition is metaphorical and not literal. There's a lot of cool stuff in Rome that would suck to get destroyed.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, I hope it's metaphorical. If not, I guess Molino's gonna have to answer to the Roman gods. Would that be right?
Well, I think more so the Italian authorities, but I'm
That's a
sure,
good point.
Jupiter wouldn't be too pleased either.
I wonder which one strikes more fear into Molino. All right, I guess moving on to pick 18. And with pick 18, CDT selects JG Wentworth. User, that's just a infidel. There we go. That took me a minute.
And the notes are as follows. We would say this is daylight robbery, but Mr. J.G. Wentworth does not approve of such actions. So instead, we'll just say we are excited to bring him along. Wentworth's poise on the pitch will help improve Krungtep's defense, while his financial know-how will help Big Dom balance his checkbook for more vacations. He also appreciates a balanced breakfast.
Or the JG Wentworth commercial lyrics. Hold on. I have a structured settlement and I need cash now. Call JG Wentworth 877 cash now. All right, I'm gonna stop singing. But yeah, I'm excited for this pick.
I do want to briefly interrupt to note that the SSL is not sponsored by JG Wentworth.
This is an important distinction to make.
Other financial organizations are available. In any case, we move on to number 19 overall, if I'm not mistaken. And it is once again SFV, Schwarzwälder Fußballverein, on the clock here. And so at 19 overall, SFV select Siddhartha Kilgannon, user Faradian.
Well, Farah is so integral to SFV, so this makes complete sense to me. Farah has always been an amazing part of the organization dating back to the Accra days. Much of the success for SFV is due to their hard work season after season, and the org is happy to have them back, filling in a key defensive role this time around. I couldn't agree more. I think this is going to be it is a great pick. Makes complete sense why Faradian is coming back to SFV.
Certainly a cornerstone of that organization over the last several seasons.
All right, I guess we'll move on to pick 20. And with pick number 20, Osiris selects Miko Rashford, the fourth, user Lime. So this is the fourth Rashford we have in the league.
Another one? All right. The manager notes, the latest brother to join the mix. Buenos Aires is hoping that this one isn't going to be a lemon. A strong central defender with a knack for quick-thinking decisions. Excited to see what Lime can bring to the league.
Yeah, that seems all right. I like the lemon pun. That was funny.
I'm genuinely starting to think we might be approaching Rashford overload here. How many more are we going to get?
Rashford's gonna like hack the files one day, and he's just gonna like name every single player Rashford, and it's just gonna be like Rashford 11 versus Rashford 11. I already see it.
Well, until that day happens, we do have the fourth member of the Rashford family making their way to Buenos Aires. Following that selection, we have number 21 overall, and for the first time in this draft, Tokyo SC will be making their pick. And so, at number 21 overall, Tokyo SC select Skiba de Alessandro Rizzo, user Sock.
I think them in Hollywood, before this pick had yet to make a pick. But let's read what the organizational manager notes has to say. Sock is someone we are very excited to see back in the league. Came highly recommended by our old gaffer, Benefiction, as well as from their time working together on commentary. And as a goalkeeper is a position of need for us after we lost Frenchie in expansion. This was a pretty easy pick to make. Glad to have you back in the league, Sock. Is that the guy from Gmod?
Truth be told, I would not know. And who's this metafiction guy? Sounds like a jerk.
Yeah, for real. And like I've heard good things. I've heard good things, but don't know who he is either.
Oh well.
All right, pick 22. Let's get it rolling. And Leafy Side Celtic FC selects Joseph Matisse Hendry.
No, say his name and he appears. Bailey and I started this expansion journey not that long ago, and it has been a blast getting to work with him. I can't wait to continue to do so for a long, long time. May the luck of the Irish bless your career. Welcome to Leafy Side. Sorry.
Yeah, these new expansion names are hard to pronounce. I'd say it's a conspiracy by the SSL against the commentators. We'll learn. We'll learn. 100%.
But yes, Bailey, one of the part of the management for the new Celtic organization, making their way here in the second round to the new team. Next up, we are nearly at the end of round 2 here. Just a couple more picks in the round. But we move on to number 23 overall, where Reykjavik United are about to make their selection. And that selection in question is Fiery Chicken by user Furious Chicken.
Imagine running off the pitch, taking your shot, and a flaming chicken dives out of nowhere to knock your shot in the corner. To the 11 other organizations, you soon won't need to imagine it anymore. Welcome back to the best GM partner ever. So Furious Chicken, no stranger to the league. What a great guy. Makes sense that the offspring goes from Furious to Fiery. All right. Let's move on to pick 24. What if this like organization or like the manager note should have just been chicken. I like that kind of note format. All right, pick 24. Shanghai Dragons FC for the first time this draft select Greg Evil. User the Evil is back.
As you say, Shanghai's first pick in this draft, and the notes submitted are as follows. The Evil is back is a fantastic person to talk to. I was sold on him immediately when he said that his favorite Power Ranger is green. Welcome to Shanghai and Magyar, Greg Evil.
I can see why they call him Evil, sorry. No one's favorite Power Ranger should be green. But that's a personal opinion, I guess.
Strong words from Max. Some very dearly held opinions about Power Rangers being made light on this stream.
I mean, you could debate me after, but I think I'm right, and anyone else who thinks is wrong is wrong, and they can't rebuttal now because they're not on they're not commentating. So
And I never watched Power Rangers as a kid, so apologies. In any case, we have reached the end of the second round. And Max, what are your thoughts on this round?
I mean, we saw some picks from sides that hadn't had a pick yet, Shanghai and Tokyo, and it's looking good in my opinion. Let me see if there's anyone that really stands out. I mean, of course, having a lot of picked in this round, Bailey, Verdion. I did like the DMAC joke and the lizard joke, so I'll give those to my two favorite picks this round. What about you, Meta?
Well, certainly, I think that we have reached the point where a lot of, as we know, the rules dictate that assistant manager players who recreates of assistant manager players do do have to go off the board in the second round. So we've seen a few of those here. Certainly, some very well-respected names in this community, including Sock coming back. Had taken a bit of a hiatus from the SSL for a while, I believe after season 13 or 14. So, really great to see him back. And honestly, I don't know. Just on a personal note, I don't know if he's planning to come back to commentary, but if he is, I think I speak for everyone when I say that we'd be really glad to have him back. It genuinely would be pretty awesome. It's genuinely great to see him back, but nevertheless, I think some very strong players off the board here, and I think the first round always gets a lot of hype, but I think consistently it's the second and third round players that really tend to prove themselves just because they have a little bit more, like they don't have as many expectations. They have more opportunity to prove themselves. So it's going to be interesting to see how these players impact the league going forward.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I'm excited. Like, we'll see if we can figure something out with the commentary. There's always room for more, right?
Indeed,
Wink,
there
wink.
is.
And it is. All right, moving on to round three, right?
Indeed, we are on to round number 3 here in this draft. And first up in this third round is once again Jalahu Cosmico. And they will select Capybara Chevalier, I think is the pronunciation on that. User Wild Capybara.
Is this the second Capybara to go in this draft? But nevertheless, let's read the organizational manager notes. Capybara being available this late gives me, in my opinion, the steal of the draft. This is a great user, and I'm excited to get to work. Bienvenidos a Shalaku. I like the fact that the notes always end with Bienvenidos a Shalaku. It's very warming. Maybe they could just say Shalaku next time, just like repeated like 10 times. But nevertheless, I think this is a good pick.
Certainly strong impressions from both our expansion organizations.
All right, moving on to pick 26. Leafy side Celtic FC selects Harvey Danger. User hockey fan.
So the notes are as follows. A Sim League vet with over 20 seasons in the SHL still being on the board this late? We were super excited to add Hockey Fan to the fold and can't wait to get to work. May the luck of the Irish bless your career. Welcome to Leafy Side.
I wonder if this is named after the band Harvey Danger, or wasn't there a show with Harvey Danger?
The only thing that's coming to mind, unfortunately, is Rodney Dangerfield, and I don't think that's related.
It was Henry Danger. Just confirmed from the studio. Maybe the more you know. That was a really good Nickelodeon show. Shout outs to that network. Actually, not all the shout outs. They're not the best, but hey. Yeah, good pick.
Next, we move on to pick number 27. Wait, yes, 27. Apologies. I forgot how to count. It is CF Catalonia once again up to bat. And they have selected Damien Croce. I believe that's Croce. That's what I'm going with anyway. user Damien J10.
The OM notes, excited to see what he can do, a good active player and a positional fit after the expansion draft. Short, to the point, couldn't agree more. Clearly a very good defender, 6.84 at the back. And I know that the academy season was insanely high scoring. So frankly, if I see a CD, I guess a central defender with a high rating like that, it's promising. It's promising.
Without a doubt. Now, before we get to pick number 28, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we have another trade to report. And indeed, there you see it. Shanghai receiving Buenos Aires' third round pick, 32 overall, and Leafy Side's fourth rounder in season 23. And in exchange, Leafy Side will receive this pick, Shanghai's third rounder for this draft, number 28 overall.
Leafy side active this draft. I'm surprised, and also this leaves a real impression on me, just because they're going out straight out of the gates, running, making as many trades as possible. So I'm happy that the OMs and AMs are really looking to make a bang. All right, I think let's move on to the actual pick now. All right, pick 28, Leafy Side Celtic FC selects Orla Hughes Galloway, user Boom. 5 big booms.
Worth noting this is Celtic's sixth pick in this draft so far, but the notes are as follows. Had people messaging me that this was the steal of the draft right after this pick, and we ourselves couldn't believe that Boom was still here for us, so we made the move to trade up and get another great user in our locker room. May the luck of the Irish bless your career. Welcome to Leafy Side.
How many booms are we given this pick, Meta?
Well, at least one, that's for sure.
That's at least one. I'm giving it 3 big booms. I'm not gonna do the big booms though. So let's let's keep on going.
Indeed, we move on now to pick number 29, and once again we have a double pick incoming. This time it is AC Romana who will be making 2 picks in a row. Their first one, of course, being Shai Madueke, user Slick, and that's Slick with 2 Ks.
The notes read, Mr. Madueke has a good taste in players, I'll tell you that. We may support different clubs, but I'm really happy to have Shai join us here at Romana. If he's anything like his real life counterpart, I'm excited to see this player. I think with that, let's move on to pick 30. Almost to the end of the draft, damn. I hope it's not over too soon, you know? All right, with pick number 30, AC Romana coming back on the board with picking Ryan O'Neal, user Ryan O'Neal.
And the notes on this read, the second best Ryan in the SSL. Had a short but enjoyable scouting conversation with Mr. Ryan, and I'm very happy that he can join the best Ryan at Romana.
Ooh, best Ryan? That's got to be like a hot take, right?
If I were the snarky sort, I would say, but Ryan Fitzpatrick plays for Sao Paulo. But I'm not the snarky sort, so I won't say that.
I mean, you just put it out there. I feel like, you know, it might not come up. It didn't happen. All right, I'll go out and say it. You got Ryan Fitzpatrick at USP, so calling even Ryan Van Oudenhoven the best Ryan is would be a stretch, some might say.
Certainly aspirational. I think that's where we can leave it.
All right, I think we're going on to pick 30 now.
Yes, indeed we are. Well, actually, no. I believe it's 31. Apologies.
Yeah, I can't count.
And this is, of course, Schwarzwälder Fußballverein with the pick. And they have selected Grimace, user Degradation.
I first want to start off by saying let's go Mets. But continuing, a versatile and well-built defensive option that SFE is happy to bring into the ranks to boost options we have in the backline configurations. I think it's a long-winded way to say that we need new wingbacks and defenders, and I couldn't agree more. I think this is a fantastic pick. All right, moving on to pick 32. Surprised SFE hasn't picked a goalkeeper yet. But here we go with Shanghai, trading back in the draft as we saw from Leafy side. Selecting Franz van Grimbergen, user Flex.
So the Shanghai management writes, "We are incredibly excited to bring Flax in our locker room, and we believe that he is the player we need to secure the back of our midfield." Of course, you've heard me. People have been following the league for some time know that I tend to wax poetic about midfielders of all stripes, but certainly this is not going to be any different. Any team that builds in the midfield, I think, is certainly worth celebrating.
Couldn't agree more. Also, to note, secure the back of our midfield, even though it's listed as an attacking midfielder. Are we going to see a reroll here? At least a redistribution?
Unless I'm mistaken, they might have a defensive midfielder as a secondary position. I might have to clarify that later, but nevertheless.
Yeah, that makes sense. that would make sense.
Nevertheless, we move on to our next pick, which is going to be 33 overall, and it is Tokyo SC making just their second selection of the draft. And so at number 33 overall, Tokyo selects Jay Burns, user Ogreish, and that's Ogreish with 2 H's.
All right. The manager notes had a nice little chat with Ogreish while working our way through the draft. When you're picking this late, it's always a little chaotic near the end, and we were happy they were still available here at our pick. Pumped to add some first-gen blood to the locker room, and can't wait to see them join our young crew in Cairo. What are your thoughts, Meta? Since you used to be the OM of Tokyo.
Well, truth be told, I don't really. I did take a. Well, for those who don't know, as Max said, I was previously the manager of Tokyo. I didn't really have much of a hand in the draft process this time, apart from some scouting. But I think this is a very solid pick, and am excited to have Ogreish on the team.
That's good works from an old OM, you know. Always good to see the old people in the back saying cheering you on. Not to call you old.
It's okay. Let me just go get my walker real quick.
I guess we'll give Meta a second before calling the next pick. Or actually, I think it's my turn to call it. All right, let's move on to pick 34. Chilaku Cosmico FC selects Jose Diaz, user Alessandro Diaz.
Apologies, I threw my back out because I'm old. Nevertheless, the manager notes are as follows: he fits a need we have in the minors, and excited to get to work with him. Bienvenidos a Jelahu.
That got me so good. I guess you're hoping your central defender doesn't throw their back out on the pitch. That would be bad.
That would be difficult. Yes. Certainly, Cosmico making another strong pick. And with that, we move on to number 35 overall. And we are, in fact, nearing the end of this draft, surprisingly. Feels like this has flown by. But nevertheless, Reykjavik United up next at number 35 overall, and they will select Kilwa Zoldik Jr., user Sinister.
I do remember Zoldik that played for Atleti Medellin, season 19 academy. Do wonder if it's the same player, but here we go. As the draft moved on, our leadership group was quite surprised to see Zoldik available this late. A strong attacking midfielder with a penchant to finish. We are excited to bring this great user into our club. You heard it. You heard it here first. I mean, Reykjavik is not a club that likes to lose. So having an attacking midfielder coming through their ranks is surely going to bode well. All right, and I think that takes us to pick 36.
Indeed, it does.
Leafyside Celtic FC selects Otis Bordeaux Jr. User Otis Bordeaux. Boudreaux. No, yeah, it's like Boudreaux, not Bordeaux.
Close enough. We do have the manager notes as follows. What a better fit than a user who made their nationality Ireland. Excited to add another active user at this point in the draft, and we look forward to working with Otis. May the luck of the Irish bless your career. Welcome to Leafyside.
Irish man in an Irish club. You love to see it, right?
Homegrown talent, can't beat it.
That you can't.
And so we move on to the penultimate pick in this SSL draft. And once again, it is Leafyside Celtic with their 8th selection in this draft. And they have selected Doc McStuffins, user Yibs.
Doc McStuffins is such a throwback. Oh my word. Um, Fantastic. All right, let's read some notes. To wrap with the inaugural draft, we decided this was just the doctor we ordered. Doc McStuffins, we know you're coming prepared because we want to keep everyone on the field and healthy. In the luck of the Irish, bless your career. Welcome to Leafyside. Yeah. This is what the second doctor that was picked in this draft, but this one looks way happier than what was it, Dr. Wad?
I believe so.
Yeah. Good to see some happy faces within organizations, you know?
I have to wonder, though, I don't know that there are too many stuffed animals in the SSL, but we'll have to see.
True. Operations might just get real for Doc McStuffins. How old is she? Like, what, like 10?
If that.
Yeah. I don't know if I trust a 10-year-old doctor, but hey, you know, when times are tough, you're starting a new organization. What better to do than have a child repair your players?
What could possibly go wrong?
Absolutely nothing. All right. Pick 38. Last pick. Can't believe that Jeff's already over. All right. Shalaku Kosmiko with the last pick selects Taylor Smith Jones, user Hortle.
And so the manager notes for this final pick in the Season 22 Prospect Draft. Not a bad way to wrap up our first ever draft in the league. Hopefully they enjoyed their time with us. Bienvenidos a Jalahu. And Cosmic,
What a good way to...
final selection in this draft.
Yeah, as you just said, what a great way to wrap up the draft. What do you think of this last round, Meadow?
Well, it's certainly still a lot of value here at the tail end of the draft. Maybe not as deep as some drafts we've seen in the past, but still plenty of opportunity for these players taken at the very end here to really make their mark on the league. Just because a player was taken this late doesn't mean that they can't have an impact. Quite the contrary, it's these later picks that often prove to be the difference in really crucial situations. Certainly plenty of opportunity for these players to show what they're made of.
I couldn't agree more. I think that the third round is a great pick to be picked at, just because you don't have as much pressure as, let's say, a first rounder, and you know there's still some pressure on a second rounder. So third rounder, you have everything to play for. I'm excited to see how a lot of these players turn out, especially Doc McStuffins, who I think could really bring some to the table.
I certainly agree with that. I'm also very interested to see how you. I'm also interested to see how Boom does with Celtic. Certainly, a bit of a surprising pick this late in terms of how long that these users lasted. Boom was one of the users that you would expect to go a little bit higher, but I think Celtic overall, with great value from this draft, in my opinion, 8 picks from just a little over 3 rounds, certainly making a real effort to try and build up that inaugural roster.
I couldn't agree more. And just a quick note, Beaslebot was auto-assigned as the organizational manager for CF Catalunya. So technically we got 39 picks this draft. But yeah, back to
Indeed.
what you were saying. I couldn't agree more. I think that this is really showing well for Leafy side. 8 picks, 1 draft. You're coming out of the gates running. Of course, that's a lot of people to manage now, but as the season runs longer, I'm excited to see what Leafy side can do. Maybe not at the majors just yet, but for sure at the minors.
Well, if recent memory is any indication, we know Shanghai and Tenochtitlan were certainly game right out of the gate. Well, it'll be very interesting to see whether Celtic and Cosmico will be the same way. Take nothing away from Shalahu Cosmico's selections this draft with the first and last picks and then 4 more in between. I think they've also got a very exciting squad building. I'm really excited to see what Benjamin Moreau, can do at Cosmico.
100%. 6 picks, 2 less than 8. Don't take that away from them. I think both of the new expansion teams are really going to come out of the gates running. And also, I think that USP had quite the showing this draft. I was kind of surprised. They've been doing very well. So to see that they're looking for new talent is always a good sign. And then I guess one last shout out is AC Romana. Struggled a little bit the last couple seasons, but and also having a very interesting statement saying that the two best Ryans are at AC Romana now. But nevertheless, it's looking good for Romana.
One other thing to note, the defending Major League champions Hollywood FC taking no players in this draft, which is a bit of a departure from their historic strategy. Several seasons ago, they were effectively trying to obtain as many draft picks as they could. This time they've gone the opposite direction, not a single pick in this draft.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. Honestly, I can't imagine that they're looking for anyone right now. They just won the majors. It did so well in the cup. So when you're just doing that hot, just gotta keep on going with don't fix what's not broke.
Indeed. Well, that I believe will wrap it up here for the Season 22 Prospect Draft. Thank you so much for joining us. I do want to extend, obviously, congratulations to the players who were picked. And also, I'd like to say thanks, first of all, to Max for joining me today, but also to Canadis, who's been running this stream basically from the start. And of course, without whom none of this would be possible. So, huge shout out to Canadis for, as always, keeping us on track here in the draft. But unless you had anything to add, Max, I believe that's about all I had to say.
Couldn't agree more. Huge shout out to Candidates. Huge shout out to Meta, who consistently is bringing top tier stuff to the commentary box. So excited for season 22, and I think that this prospect draft really kicks it off all well.
I can't wait to commentate season 22 from my room at the nursing home, because apparently I'm old. But I'm sorry.
We'll find a way to.
I had to.
We'll find a way. That's fair. We'll find a way to get the booth into your nursing home room. I'm sure they have space somewhere. Behind all the rockers, of course.
Of course. But with that said, thank you so much for joining us here. We'll see you soon for the preseason of season 22, and then of course after that, to kick off season 22, it'll be the SSL Shield. Well, we hope you'll join us for that, but until then, this has been Metafiction.
And Max. Thank you guys, and goodbye.
Take care, y'all.